Story 1. He makes me laugh, understands me, and tells me multiple times a day how beautiful I am and how much he loves me. When we argue, we listen to each other. He makes me a better person, and I help him become one too. Story 2. This makes me believe in true love. I truly yearn for it. Dear Reddit users, please keep me in your thoughts, as I have no one to wish me well except myself. Story 3. He is my best friend and lover. I enjoy going on adventures with him and living together. Our personalities are so intertwined that the thought of sharing this life with anyone else feels unbearable. He strives to be his best every day, which I admire. When we disagree, we address it, and he makes efforts to improve on the points of disagreement. We often act like 12-year-olds, and it's really fun. We are just two kids with adult finances. Story 4. I loved him, but I never thought I would want to marry anyone. I had seen many marriages fail and change the dynamic. I became very ill, and despite going to the emergency room several times and consulting numerous doctors, they couldn't find a cause for my pain and discomfort. I was so uncomfortable that I couldn't eat or get out of bed much. The only times I felt better were in the bathtub or when I was asleep. I couldn't go anywhere, do anything, or even be intimate for 8 months. That is how long it took them to diagnose me and find a treatment that would provide some relief. It was the worst time in my life, and I think many boyfriends would have left. I was essentially unable to function. My boyfriend accompanied me to appointments and emergency room visits. He would come over to be with me just to lay in bed next to me. He was only concerned about my recovery. When I told him I wouldn't blame him if he wanted to leave, as neither of us knew if this was going to be my life from then on, he told me he was going down with the ship. We have been married for 8 years, and it will be 9 this November. I was diagnosed with interstitial cystitis, and while I still have occasional flare-ups, for the most part, I have my life back. Story 5. Both of our leases ended about 3 months into dating, so we decided to take the plunge and try living together. We rented a 2-bedroom apartment, figuring that if we broke up, we would finish the lease and move on with our lives. That was in June, and by October, we realized we had been talking about when we get married and discussing long-term plans like it was natural. We got married that December, bought a house the following June, and here we are, 10 years later. We do not have an extra bedroom anymore, though, so I guess I'm stuck with him. Our first date lasted almost 12 hours, included activities in 3 cities, and I cooked for him at my house. We did not even kiss on the first date. We were just having a good time, so we kept going. Sometimes everything just clicks, and it all makes sense. Story 6. He would stay up until I got off work at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. just to talk to me. He is honest. When we have arguments, we both cool off before having an open conversation about what is bothering us. Story 7. When we had been living together for a little over a year and my kids had been living with us for less than a month, he carried my son to bed on my boy's 6th birthday because the little guy was crying that his father didn't call to wish him a happy birthday. Story 8. I knew everything was easy and natural. I never had to question anything or wonder if he was being dishonest. We both just clicked. Felt different from any other relationship I've had. You just know. Story 9. A few dates in, he took me to see a play by my favorite playwright, Annie Baker, and there was a passage in it that resonated with me. I will say that meeting him was like walking out of a dark wood. He's not perfect and I'm not perfect and we have our hard times, but I remember moving towards him through Terminal 4, and it was like emerging from the cold and into the sun. Like waking up from the bad dream that was my life before him. All the confusion, fear, and self-hatred that I had always felt in the presence of other people, I was shedding it like a skin. The spell had ended. And I remember thinking, everything is possible. If this is possible, anything is possible. He gripped my hand as it ended, and I knew we felt the same way. We have been together for 12 years now with 2 beautiful kids. Anything is possible. Story 10. He was the first person I had ever dated with whom I could be completely myself. I could be silly, passionate, and feel completely comfortable and loved no matter what. To this day, he is the only person who doesn't count as people, because being around him takes no social energy. He makes me laugh, makes me feel loved, and believes in me when I don't. Story 11. We started dating in our early 20s, and 6 months into the relationship, we faced two very difficult situations in our lives: losing a parent and a significant health scare. We were able to support each other and come out stronger together. Although it was unfortunate to go through those challenges so early in life, it was also a blessing to know we had both found a true partner who would be there for each other, no matter how hard it gets. Story 12. Early on, within a few days, I just knew. When I look back for the reasons, I see a kind, patient man who is protective. He is fun and lighthearted, always goofing around. But he will take control of a situation and be serious when necessary. He loves me for who I am, and I love him for who he is too. Story 13. My mom used to say to me, "You always want to marry someone who loves you just a little bit more than you love them." When I met him, I thought he was a little overeager, actually wearing me down with his enthusiasm and affection. He asked me to marry him on our fourth date. I told him I would think about it, and while I did, what my mom said kept coming back to me. This is what she was talking about. A week or so later, I said yes. That was 26 years ago, and it was the best decision I ever made. Often, I feel that he's more than I deserve. Story 14. His goofiness during our first meeting was memorable. He got down on one knee, and I told him to get up. People would think he was proposing to me outside McDonald's. We met there after I finished work at 10 p.m., and McDonald's was open until midnight. The cinema was ending its movies, and there were plenty of people milling about. We both had hot drinks. He drove me home without a kiss or any funny business. He only kissed me on the third date, which was 3 days later after the McDonald's incident. We have been together for over a decade now, and we enjoy taking care of each other. Story 15. He doesn't like holding hands, but when I had problems sleeping due to stress and anxiety, along with bad dreams, he held my hand all night. Story 16. I mentally claimed my husband when we were 12, and then I just kind of waited. We became good friends, then best friends, and finally started dating at 19. We got married at 25, and now we are 40, have a child, and are more in love than ever. It's a strange feeling to know at 12, but all the other boys I knew gave off such chaotic energy, while I saw peace when I looked at him. He is my best friend, and being together is our default setting. We have never raised our voices at each other. We are supportive of each other. We discuss issues instead of fighting. We have gone to therapy when we knew things were beyond our ability to handle, and we never doubt that it's us until we die. I owe all of that to my 12-year-old self. Story 17. Even when I thought I should leave him because things were difficult, he taught me that we grow together, process together, and love each other even in hard times. I am so grateful to have him. He is so smart and everything I could have ever wanted. Story 18. Due to a traumatic upbringing, I was terrified of marriage. I moved from one relationship to another and spent a few years in and out of abusive situations. He was the first person to make me think, I could spend the rest of my life with this person. The best decision I ever made was marrying my husband. He taught me self-love and helped me realize that love is special, but also requires hard work. I get to spend every day being showered with love and know that I am sharing the better part of my life with my best friend. Story 19. When I ended my relationship with my high school sweetheart, I had never been with another man. It's common to go through a period of exploration. I was with 5 different men over the course of about 6 months. My bed was not put together in my room, and each man did not inquire about it. My current husband put that bed together in just a few hours. He literally made our bed. I knew he was the one after being together just a few times. We got married a year later and have been married for 18 years. Story 20. We had a great time watching television on the couch together, and running errands and completing chores was enjoyable as well. We made an excellent team. Story 21. I'm a very independent person and I don't ask for help often. My husband does things without me asking. He notices something that needs to be done and then takes care of it. He listens to me, and his behavior proves it. He is the funniest person I have ever met. He is thoughtful and intelligent. He speaks out against injustices, and it makes me proud to be with him. Not to be too personal, but an important part of a relationship is intimacy, and our connection in that area is the best of my life. I believe it relates back to my first point. He pays attention. I have kissed a few frogs in my life, and the one thing I would tell my younger self or young women now is if you don't feel his love, he is not the one. If you have to question things, he is not the one. There is security and contentment with the right person. He is the one I want to share everything with. My thoughts, secrets, experiences, everything. I swore I would never marry again because I was completely misled before. But the best decision I have ever made was marrying my husband. 10 years in, and I don't think another 50 will be enough. Story 22. I am not a night snuggler, as I get too hot. Instead, he would hold my hand until I fell asleep, give it a little pat, then roll over to sleep. In the middle of the night, he would lay his ankle over mine while we were sleeping. Even when asleep, he respected my boundaries but wanted to reassure me he was there, and that meant everything. We have been married for more than 20 years now. Story 23. I miss my husband so much for a million different reasons. His laugh, his hands, and the way his face would light up when he saw me come through the door. But the most selfish reason is that I am a type 1 diabetic, and he used to rub my feet every night. I miss that, true, but more than missing the act, I miss knowing that there is someone on this earth who cares about me enough to want to do that. Sorry for rambling. I'm not even sure that made sense. I knew he was the one the first time I heard his voice, deep, slow, and southern. Felt like the first warm rain of spring. Please, everyone, hug your husbands really tight tonight. There is never enough time. Story 24. We share the value of family and come from decent-sized families, which are a priority for us. Holidays with family, spontaneous visits, and living in the same town as our families are important to us. We are in agreement on this. When she calls to say her mother is unexpectedly stopping by for dinner, I respond enthusiastically to ensure we have enough food. She does the same for me. This reflects how we want to raise our child. Story 25. I don't have a husband, but I have an amazing wife. Years ago, while watching Mamma Mia, we realized at the same time that we had the same favorite moment. She makes me laugh, takes care of me, and makes me feel loved, heard, and appreciated. I never wanted to get married or have children. However, we have been happily married for a few years now and are starting our in vitro fertilization journey next year. It's wonderful. She's family. She loves me unconditionally, and it's beautiful. Story 26. I fell in love with him and never wanted to spend another minute without him in my life. He's a beautiful man inside and out. Love you, honey. Story 27. He is everything good in my life. The gentleness and care I see in his eyes when he looks at me is something I have never experienced before. The love he feels for me radiates from him, yet he is always looking for ways to show me that love. He is my voice of reason and my best friend. Even when we argue, it rarely escalates because we have immense mutual respect for each other. He is the best. Story 28. He sang in the car. It was a month into dating, and he sang so happily that I knew my life would be full of fun and joy, and 12 years later, that has proven true. Story 29. I knew I loved him before our first date. We had been talking for a few weeks. He worked nights while I worked days. He sent me a picture of the sunrise every morning to wake up to. It has been 10 years since I answered his first message, and it is still the best decision I have ever made. Story 30. He pulled me to the right side of the sidewalk the day we met, and I gave him a puzzled look because I wasn't expecting my ex-husband's friend to be such a real man or that attractive. We got married 58 days later. Story 31. 3 things I appreciated. 1. The way he treated his grandmothers. He hand-delivered flowers to them on every special occasion, 5 times a year. He dedicated so much time and unconditional devotion to them. His treatment of children and his siblings was filled with empathy and compassion. He calls me beautiful as if it's my name. He always has. It's how he greets me, whether in person or on the phone. Hi, beautiful. Story 32. We enjoy doing things together, never get tired of each other, and always help one another. He makes me laugh and is consistently loving. Story 33. I'm someone who often feels disconnected from reality, and he is the most grounded person I have ever met. He keeps me connected to the real world, and he's so much fun. We got into all sorts of adventures in college that others wouldn't dare to try. After 11 years of marriage, it's been an enjoyable journey. If anything ever happened, I would not remarry because no one could ever compare. Story 34. I didn't grow up with a dishwasher in the house and didn't really know how to use one properly. Then I moved out and was mostly on my own, so I just used it as a drying rack. I went to my now husband's house, where he was living with his brother. We were preparing for a party, and I used their dishwasher as a drying rack. His brother, jokingly, asked, "Who loaded this like a novice?" He didn't know I was within earshot and, without thinking, explained the situation, saying it was nice that I did their dishes for the party. It was such a small thing, but it showed me that he always put my best interests first and would support me in both big ways and small acts. Story 35. I feel safe and cared for. He makes me laugh. He is strong, capable, clean, smart, and considerate. He can cook. I could go on. Story 36. 3 months into dating, when I found a cheap flight deal to Greece, he booked it with me. I knew right then and there that he was committed. Story 37. Grim but true. I knew I would marry my husband the day after my brother died. We were long distance at the time, so we talked on the phone about everything that had just happened. I hadn't slept all night. The second day was worse than the first. He made me laugh somehow, and I didn't think that could have been possible. We hadn't been dating for very long, but after that, he really stepped up and made the relationship serious. We make each other laugh every day, communicate well, resolve conflicts quickly, and share common goals, morals, and values. And for a man, he is emotionally intelligent and tidy. I got lucky. Story 38. I had limited time to socialize because I worked nights at a hospital and had undiagnosed Crohn's disease, so my free time was precious. I had been dating for about a year on and off, and I recognized that a guy wasn't right for me when I preferred to be home sleeping or relaxing. I knew my husband was the one because I couldn't get enough of him. Even when I was sick or tired, I still wanted him around. I didn't have to perform for him. I was comfortable being myself. Story 39. We were coming back from Christmas at his grandmother's house, and he wasn't feeling well. We parked the car and sat there talking for a few minutes before we went inside our house. He grabbed my hand, looked at me, and said, "I need you." At that moment, I realized that whether or not we got married didn't matter. I wanted to be with him forever. Story 40. He supported me as I recovered from alcoholism, which was partly due to having undiagnosed post-traumatic stress disorder. He always saw the potential in me. Not many people are willing to do that for someone. He also loves cats. Story 41. We clicked. Our personalities complement each other's energy. We want the same things from life and share a similar day-to-day lifestyle. We have the same messed-up sense of humor. He is my type and somewhat sweet and attractive. All of this was laid out on the table, and I wanted it for good. Story 42. I knew he was the one when I could easily see us having fun together at 80 as well as 20. I liked all his qualities and found him handsome, but most importantly, we had similar interests and values that seemed likely to endure over time. He is a very generous lover, and it occurred to me that I should probably marry him, as he has given me the best experiences I have ever had. There were enough bad relationships in the past that this one was clearly much better. He is definitely not perfect, and neither am I, but I think we have both grown together and adjusted along the way. I feel like every 5 years we change a little in different ways, but our core values always remain. He is my best friend and my biggest cheerleader in life. I feel empowered with him, as if I could accomplish anything with him by my side, and we help each other grow tremendously. 20 years and 1 child later, we are still having fun. Story 43. He immediately made me feel more comfortable and accepted than I had ever felt with another person, and it never seemed long enough to be together. As the weeks passed, he continued to be the most joyful, easygoing, and calming presence, to the point that I felt more like myself when he was there than when I was alone. I couldn't imagine life without my best friend and guiding light. Story 44. He felt like home, the only person aside from my best friend with whom I could be myself completely. His goofiness and ability to calm my nervous system just by being near me are reasons I knew he was special. I still feel like I hit the jackpot. He's my favorite. Story 45. After 2 marriages, I had almost given up believing I would find someone with whom I could share my life and values. While dating my husband, one evening he asked me if I would do something for him. I thought, great, he wants me to wear a cheerleader outfit or something. But I responded, what is it? He said, will you pray with me? I have never looked back, and he is the greatest blessing I have ever received. Story 46. I have loved reading all these stories. I knew I wanted to marry my husband when, after being together for about a year, he experienced a diabetic seizure that led to a 6-hour visit to the emergency room while the medical staff stabilized him. I sat next to him while he was unconscious and still unstable. I wanted him to live, and when he was stabilized, I realized that if he had died, I would not want to be anywhere but there. That was when I recognized the depth of my love and my desire to be his life partner. Fast forward 5 years later, we had been married for about a year and hadn't been intimate for about 3 years. I talked with a friend, who had been a priest for years but left to marry, and he advised me to reflect on our entire life together and sincerely assess if there was enough for me. He acknowledged that my desire for intimacy was normal and valid, and that this kind of issue was not uncommon. We attended couples therapy, and it turns out he is asexual but not aromantic. I had to think and process a lot about this, but I also had to be honest. This man is my best friend, my support, and my true life partner. I want to spend time with him, even if we're just playing video games separately while listening to the same podcast. This man loves me, cares for me, and makes decisions and investments for our future together. I still think fondly of why I chose to marry him, but it is even more important for me to remember why I choose to remain his wife. We have been together for 13 years and married for 8 years. Story 47. To all the romance authors and aspiring authors who desire more realism in their works, commence the sacred note-taking. Story 48. I was a born-again Christian when we met. My church insisted that we marry right away. I thought it was a divine act from God and that we were meant to be. Story 49. Honestly, it felt like a cliché instant soulmate connection. I carefully checked that we were genuinely compatible in every way because it seemed too good to be true. If we could choose anyone in the world, it would just be each other. Story 50. This makes me feel good about being unexpectedly broken up with by my avoidant ex last month. If I didn't have someone who loves me this much, I deserve better. Story 51. He is the only person who is genuinely interested in how I feel, even though I cannot express it in a traditional way. I appreciate his willingness to engage in intellectual debates and his passionate feminism. I believe it is his experience of overcoming difficult times that resonates with me, as I tend to handle daily life well. He is my insurance against despair. Story 52. That man performs miracles for my nervous system. He is a soothing presence. And as an anxious person, I can't get enough of it. I've never felt calm with anyone else like I do with him. He fits me perfectly and I fit him. He is the most understanding, affectionate, and delightfully silly person I could ever imagine. He inspires me to do better. When he slipped my engagement ring on my finger while we were curled up, with me mostly asleep and feeling so loved and safe, there was no way I could say no. I have been planning to spend my life with him since the first moment I saw him after a year of long distance. Story 53. He drove 3 hours each way every time he was off from work after working 12-hour night shifts at the hospital. Story 54. He was the most handsome, funny, and toughest person I have ever met. When we decided to date and connect, he truly rocked my world. Story 55. He cooked for my parents and brought groceries when I canceled our date to take care of my family. Story 56. We had broken up amicably and agreed that I needed to work on self-improvement and he needed to work on personal growth. Not only did he change what he said he would change, but he also helped me to level up. That is a life partner. Story 57. When the rain stopped, He took my stepson out to rescue earthworms that had crawled onto the pavement and would have dried out and died if left there. Story 58. When I thanked him for doing something that was out of his way or required extra effort, he would look at me completely puzzled and say, "You don't have to thank me every time, honey. That's what people do for each other." My first husband had a difficult relationship with his mother, so he had no idea how a normal relationship functioned. Everything felt like a transaction. It took me a while to relax and realize my current husband was not going anywhere. If we had a problem, we talked it out. 25 years later, we are still going strong. Story 59. He was just as happy with me as he was without me. He trusted and encouraged me. He listened and was open. He is a good person. Story 60. For our second date, he hired a pilot to take us up in his plane to watch the moon rise over the city. He said it was something he always wanted to do but wanted someone fun to share the experience with. As a bonus, there was also a meteor shower. He has been by my side for the last 40 years. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.